We spend so much time trying to survive these creatures. But what actually are they? In Species Unknown, the lore isn't told through cutscenes. It's found inside the capture rooms, stored on the extended codex computers. Detailed reports on each species, their behaviour, and what makes them so dangerous. So today, we're stepping into the lab and reading the files. So we're going to be doing this in numerical order. So let's start with a 006. And guess who it is? It's Squiddy Boy! Hello, Squiddy Boy. Let's get a good look at him. So cool, this creature. So cool. Alright, let's see what he's about, shall we? Specimen 006 originates from the ocean planet LHS 1140b. This planet was first explored in 2156. Exploration reports at the time indicated the presence of oil at a depth of approximately 4,560 meters. Because it's always about oil, right? The AEP company then purchased the subsurface exploitation right and began construction of 4 oil platforms. It wasn't until 2186 that the first automated extraction station began operations. But they got what they deserved, really, didn't they? The oil wells at LHS 1140b continue to be exploited today. However, these wells require regular maintenance. In addition to maintenance robots, underwater missions are organised every month to check the condition of the facilities. Gary McCain, however you want to pronounce that, and Louis Gomez are professional deep divers. They are responsible for implementing the protocol for monitoring the condition of the underwater facility. Specimen ID 006 is first mentioned in the report of March 10th, 2204. Subsequent reports refer to a giant octopus or a bulged-eyed squid. The animal apparently never displayed hostility towards divers. It approached them at a reasonable distance and observed them. In a report of August 11th, 2204, Mr. Gomez wrote, "The octopus got within 2 meters of us. It was really curious. Over time, we began to get to know each other. It was as if it was waiting for us each time we visited. It followed and observed us." First murders. On August 15th, 2204, the supply freighter docked at the oil rig 004, where Mr. McCain, still can't say it, mispronouncing loads of names today, sorry, and Mr. Gomez were based. The freighter's commander reported that he hadn't heard from the rig for 4 days, which wasn't uncommon. Storms are frequent on the planet and they disrupt communications. However, he began to worry when he saw that no one was waiting for them on the deck when they arrived. Equipped with simple automatic rifles, part of the crew set out to meet the station's inhabitants. Along the way, they discovered several corpses. It was impossible to identify the bodies as their heads were missing. After an hour of exploration, the crew returned to the ship to report. We encountered no survivors. We counted 56 bodies, which corresponds to the number of people recorded on the platform. There is no apparent evidence of the cause of this genocide. The station director's logbook makes no note of a potential threat. However, there are pools of ink scattered on the ground. We also heard metallic noises. Hard to say if these sounds were produced by the station's creaking or something else. In any case, we saw nothing suspicious. So the metal creaking was the creature going for the vents, I take it. Following the authorities' instructions, the cargo ship departed with a full hold, leaving the bodies behind on the oil platform for investigation purposes. Accidental exfiltration. The freighter was on a 10-day journey to return to the space dock of the Nemesis 561 system from which it departed. The ship's log states that on the second day of the journey, the ship's storekeeper, Ulrich Mechev, never going to get that right, sorry, heard noises of coming from the hold. According to his interrogation, he went alone to check that the supplies were securely fastened. He discovered the creature rummaging through the crates, looking for food. The storekeeper's first instinct was to approach the creature instead of alerting his superior officer. He deemed it harmless and lost. It approached him and jumped on him. It tried to tear off his head with his tentacles. Mr. Mechev then drew his gun and shot it. The creature fled, leaving a cloud of ink behind. It may have been injured, or just shit scared. Such a curious creature. Following this attack, the freighter was put on emergency intrusion protocol, originally designed to counter pirates. This protocol involves shutting down the engines and waiting for the military unit to arrive. The ship's passengers huddled in secure room while awaiting rescue. Stepan Howard, I'm pretty sure that's how you say that, the ship's captain, recounts the following. The creature entered through the ventilation of the command center where we were waiting. It showed no signs of injuries caused by Ulrich. We fired at it with weapons we had, but it seemed to regenerate faster than we could fire. It was eventually stunned by our firepower. Lieutenant Reed then looked at the blowtorch we used to repair the hull and pointed it at the creature. Conclusion. Following Lieutenant Reed's intervention, the creature fled after being burned. Its burns appeared permanent, unlike bullet holes from the conventional weapons. A rescue unit arrived 15 minutes after the distress signal was sent and enabled the evacuation of the passengers. Conclusion of the report on specimen ID 006. This specimen is currently the only one ever encountered. However, we assume that there are other individuals of this species on planet LHS 1140b, where it originated. Given that this is the only specimen encountered, we can assume that this one exhibited particular traits of curiosity. This personality led the individual to explore the oil rig and later infiltrate the freighter. It appeared that it feeds on fresh meat, with a clear preference for brains. Decapitating its prey allows it both to eliminate any resistance and directly access its preferred meal. Like the common octopus, specimen 006 is capable of generating an ink cloud to disguise its escape. After several tests on the fluid, we can confirm that it has unique characteristics. Capturing the individual could allow for further analysis. So there we have it. They figured it out. They figured out that burning the thing would stop its regeneration. And, well, I would love to know more about this creature. If there was any more lore-based stuff that they could drop, maybe. Maybe in future updates they could have a bit more lore of the creatures. That'd be cool. I'd like to see that. So there we have it. The octopus. This creature is definition of a cat, isn't it? Curiosity killed the cat. I love the fact that they've put, like given the creature a personality by adding in a trait that we all know too well, that curiosity that we want to go and, oh, what's that over there? Could even be all shiny thing, couldn't it? Like magpies. But when they add traits to creatures like this, it just makes them feel real. That's what I love about it. Okay, so let's move on to 007. We all know too well. Mr. Clicker here. Chattering his teeth everywhere. Such a cool effect on this creature though. Absolutely love the effect. Look at him. Just gnashing his teeth. It makes you wonder what that composition of that stuff actually is. It must be something mythical. That's what it feels like, isn't it? Doesn't feel like it should exist. But it does, and we're about to find out, hopefully, why or how it came about. So let's look at 007, or 007 if you want. James Bond, shall we? He's a secret agent. So 007 is also known as Ghost. Of course he is. Unexpected event on Calypso. Specimen ID 007 was discovered on December 8, 2101 on the asteroid Calypso, which was discovered from the observatory on the French space station Pegasus 7. Researcher Henry Deschamps, I think that's how you say that, was credited with this unique discovery. Indeed, in addition to being composed of silicates and ferrous nickel, another unknown component was present on its surface. According to Mr. Deschamps' calculations, it would be close enough to the station in coming years to allow samples to be collected directly from its surface. 3 years later, an expedition was organised and the asteroid was approached by two scientists, Anna Martin and Gregory Pinnell. Here is an excerpt from their communication. Cannot say that word. This is Gregory and Anna. We are currently on the asteroid Calypso. We are facing an unexpected event. The material we were supposed to collect is not solid and it's moving. It looks like a swarm of particles are orbiting some kind of nucleus. I'm going to try and get closer to examine it more closely. We are not currently equipped to extract samples of such material. What is it with these people? I know the scientists are supposed to be extremely clever, so what's your first idea? To go up to something that you don't understand and try and touch it? Yeah, that's going to end well. After the end of the message, Miss Martin would later recount that Mr. Pinnell did indeed approach the material. As soon as his hand came into contact with it, the swarm absorbed the scientist's body. Miss Martin then fled and returned to the ship, unaware she had been followed. See? Good things never happen when you try and touch stuff. Just don't touch it. Just leave it. If you don't understand it, leave it. Infiltration. Pegasus 7 space station in charge of the expedition noted that in its reports that various communications coming from the Starcraft. Spacecraft. Starcraft. At 8:34 UTC, Gregory Pinnell gave his report from the ground. At 11:12 UTC, the commander reported Mr. Pinnell's disappearance and announced he on immediate takeoff. At 16:46 UTC, an anonymous message reported various incidents on board, as well as the need for armed response team and a medical team to be present upon arrival. Things did not go well, I take it. A Space Force platoon of approximately 50 men was present when the when the spacecraft docked at 18:56 UTC. A cloud of frost escaped from the entrance hatch when it was open. The spacecraft has approximately 10 people on board. Only Miss Martin was found safe and sound. She was discovered huddled in a corner of a wall, hands over her face, suffering from severe hypothermia. The response team was forced to sedate her and take her to the hospital. All other crew members were dead and had their faces ripped off. DNA sampling was necessary to identify the bodies. Ah, damn. Aboard the ship, all CO2 extinguishers had been used up. The ship's air conditioning was on full blast. The interior temperature was -83°C when it was opened. A humanoid creature was trapped in the galley. It was on all fours and was very aggressive towards the soldiers present. After a few minutes of fighting, the creature took to a vaporous form and vanished. The interior temperature of the ship was then -71. So there's a sweet spot between -71 and 83, or anything over 71. Testimony. After several weeks of treatment, Miss Martin was able to share her experience. We didn't realise right away that the creature had come up with me. When it's in its normal state, it flies. It's not physical. The only sound it makes is some sort of death rattle with cluttering noises. I can still hear it in my nightmares. Yeah, that sound is horrible. It is horrible. We were all in the kitchen, and then it came out of nowhere. We were talking about what had happened on the asteroid, and then it attacked us. It lunged at the commander. It was completely different from the shape it had on the asteroid. It had a face, arms, legs. It had those little particles around it though. I was the furthest from the door. I couldn't escape. I was so scared that I just stood in a corner. I wasn't looking at it. I just heard what was happening. The creature approached me. It was chattering its teeth. That was really horrible. But it left me alone. Because I wasn't looking at it. She figured it out. Miss Martin also recounts that one of her colleagues tried to attack the creature by using its CO2 fire extinguisher, the only weapon on board. The creature began to struggle and scream. It then changed state. It fell to the ground and became solid. It moved on all fours for a few seconds, then quickly returned to its ethereal state. Miss Martin was able to get to the cockpit by walking along the walls. She sent out a message, put on the spacesuit, and checked the autopilot instructions. She then activated the ship's life support protocol to lower the internal temperature, and hid, waiting to dock with the home station. A really good idea, that saved her life. Conclusion. Suspected behaviour of specimen ID 007. Currently, we have no idea of the individual's exact location. This specimen is the only representative of its species to date. Its origins remain a mystery. In absence of scientific examination, we are unable to determine its exact composition. We can only hypothesize. According to Mr. Dechamp's work, the trajectory history of the asteroid Calypso shows that it passed through the accretion disk of a black hole. Accretion disk? I think that's accretion disk. A black hole NGC 7457. We really need to be more creative with names for stuff in space, don't we? I'm sure that's got a reason for why it's called that, but it's so weird. Several thousand light years away before its discovery. We can therefore assume that this creature has a connection to the physical reactions of the sediments present in the accretion disk, and perhaps even to dark matter. Thanks to the testimonies of Miss Martin and the agents who fought it, we know to date that the specimen changes shape and roughly imitates the appearance of its last victim. The specimen becomes aggressive the moment you make eye contact. If it targets you, it will rip your face off. The specimen changes shape at a temperature of approximately -71°C. It becomes solid and susceptible to firearms. The use of frost guns is recommended when confronting it, as they emit a powder with a temperature of -196°C. Holy crap! Compared to -78°C for a CO2 extinguisher, which would allow it to remain in the state long enough to be incapacitated. No wonder it stays like that for so long. My god! We are definitely going to need some more info on this creature. The fact that it comes from an asteroid that just happened to go past a black hole? What, picked up some sort of material from it? That needs to be studied. That is a very curious material. It acts like a nucleus with particles going around it. That's really cool design. Also, being able to imitate what it touches it leaves it open for things in the future. If they maybe add creatures into the game like they did in the recent update, say they added more creatures but had this creature in alongside it, and one of those creatures touches it, I wonder if it would transfer to that creature and make a different... That would be interesting. I don't know if that's going a bit too far, but it gives a opportunity for this one to be used in a different way later. That's what, never know. Anyway, where are we? ID 008. Okay, it's you. big old ball of pain. What are you sparking out about? Come over here. Yeah. You know how much I hate you, right? You're a cool monster, but I hate you. ID 008. The Eye. Origins. The creature with the identifier 008 is a refurbished military-grade robot. It was designed and produced by the company Robot Star. This robot is equipped with a technological repulsion system that allows it to elevate and thus adapt to any type of terrain, but also serves as a shield against traditional weapons. If the system is deactivated, the robot is equipped with purely mechanical legs that allow it to move. Yeah, I really don't like this thing. This thing's making it worse. During the mission to recapture the lunar base in 2090, this same propulsion system proved unsuitable for the new laser weapons used by enemy armies. This robot model was therefore quickly removed from the market. Here are the final words collected from Robot Star's CEO, John Graham. After several years of struggling to restore our finances, and despite the efforts of all employees, I regret to announce the permanent closure of Robot Star. Severance pay will be paid upon the resale of our products and equipment. We were only offered one offer, and although it is insignificant compared to everyone's efforts and work, we will accept it. The stock of robots was purchased by the company Biospace Group. The goal was to recondition these robots purely for scientific purposes. The machine gun mounted on the robot's mechanical arm was replaced with a 50cm drill bit, one we all know too well, capable of drilling it into any rock or plant to collect samples. Or brains, yeah. In parallel with their scientific missions, this modified robot was deployed in large numbers at certain mining sites to extract large quantities of rare and precious minerals. The company did not bother to modify the shield despite its flaws. It was able to limit material damage during confrontations with other creatures. Specimen discovery. The number of robots gradually declined, and this model had now been largely replaced. Some of these older models are regularly found, most often in very poor condition. The samples and resources they extracted are, however, still usable in most cases. The wrecks are recovered and then dismantled to collect the resources. On March 3, 2021, scientists Elizabeth Weaver and William Miller found one of these older models on a planet NV 1845 on a mining extraction site, Dr. Weaver testified. The automaton appeared to be in very good condition, although inactive. Its legs were intact but chipped in places. The main trunk was intact, and we had good hopes for recovering usable materials. They brought it back to their mobile laboratory on the mothership of the ship to extract. All coherent speech has left me. Should we try that one again? They brought it back to their mobile laboratory on the mothership to extract its samples and data. There we go. During the operation, Elizabeth Weaver left, leaving Dr. Miller alone with the subject. When she returned, the robot was leaning over her colleague's body, removing its drill bit from his skull. The robot turned towards her with a hostile behaviour. Dr. Weaver immediately called the guard stationed at the laboratory's entrance. At the sight of Sergeant McDowell, the robot immediately changed its behaviour. It retracted its drill bit and assumed a pacifist attitude. Oh, I fucking hate this thing. I hate it. That's horrible. The escape. Following this incident, the subject was locked in a glass cell adjacent to Dr. Weaver's office, pending further examination. Surveillance camera footage shows that at 11:26 AM, the automaton managed to squeeze through the cell's air vent, allowing it to escape. At 1:51 PM, Dr. Weaver became aware of its escape and notified the captain. An audio announcement circulated within the ship between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. on March 4th, 2021. Why do I keep saying 2021? 2121. Have I done that in the last bit as well? Whoops. Sorry. Attention everyone. A robotics research subject has escaped from the laboratory and is roaming freely within the ship. This subject is dangerous. This message must be taken seriously. It appears that the robot only attacks isolated individuals, so it is imperative that you never remain alone. If you encounter it, notify the command office immediately. Unfortunately, this announcement followed a series of other messages, many of which were false alarms. The ship's passengers initially did not take this statement seriously. Thanks to the ventilation system, the robot was able to move freely from target to target. Numerous victims were found in the restrooms and showers, and anywhere else passengers seeked privacy. The ship's population decreased by 53% in 24 hours. Following this massacre and the inability to neutralize the robot, the command center decided to head to the nearest port to evacuate the ship. Well, it's all going well, isn't it? They're having about the same luck as we did when we were in there. Thanks for that. Feel like this is their fault. Conclusion. Suspected behaviour of specimen ID 008. We assume that the subject was corrupted during its reconditioning by the Biospace Group. Its old military program was probably improperly erased, and it may have retained an attack and defense system running in the background of its new scientific program. Its corrupted program would operate as follows. It recognizes humans when they are in groups, and only in groups. It then adopts a pacifist attitude while following this group. The subject mistakes isolated humans for its research subjects, materials or plants. It thus seeks to grab its target with its claw, drive a drill into it and collect samples. Got plenty of samples in my brain, bloody thing. If its shield is deactivated, it loses its levitation abilities, anti-gravity repulsion. It then switches to its old military program and attacks any potential threats, whether or not they are in a group. At this point, it is able to generate EMP discharges to disable any nearby systems. This thing is fucking hell, isn't it? To date, we do not know if the other robots of this type exhibit this defect, or if this case is unique. It could have been the first prototype of reconditioning, which would explain why its flaws were not previously identified. Additional observation. Once its shield is deactivated, it collapses to the ground and remains passive while its military program resets. So basically that's your chance to do as much bloody damage to it as possible. Man, I absolutely hate this robot, and learning about it, hate it even more now. Bloody thing. So, it's an AI system that's basic in a way. It's just a program. It's not. It looks like it's smart, but it's not. It's just running it's following a simple program. Well, well, well. Who knew you were a simple bitch, huh? Don't hurt me. Where are we? 9. Can't count now either, apparently. Oh, it's you. Look at those eyes. You big bastard. You spiky bastard. ID 009. Mike. Did not know his name was Mike. Professor Delaware. Michael Delaware was a 76-year-old scientist specialising in genetic mutations. His work demonstrated, among other things, that viral attacks on the body accelerate genetic mutations. This thesis earned him a Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2189. Following this international award, he received numerous job offers. In 2191, he agreed to join the Blue Science Corps to continue his work. Professor Delaware is described by his colleagues as quiet. He is not comfortable in public and refuses all requests to appear in public unless he is surrounded by renowned scientists with whom he can discuss his work. He has no patience for people who are not at his level. Several of his former colleagues even describe him as mean and ruthless. It sounds like most people. Let's be fair. One day he asked me if I knew what a cell was. I answered him, and he told me it wasn't the answer he was expecting. He told me to go back to college. Can you believe it? I studied for 13 years. I have the same job as him, and he has absolutely no right to talk to me like that. The worst part is, I don't even think he meant to be mean. He doesn't realise what he's saying. With the Blue Science Corps, Professor Delaware was assigned to the mobile laboratory of a military ship. He was working on a serum intended to be the ultimate vaccine against all viruses. Never a good idea. Internal conflicts. In his lab, Professor Delaware worked with 6 other scientists. He didn't have a good relationship with them and was subjected to several hazing incidents that he never reported. The only person Professor Delaware interacted with was the maintenance worker who cleaned the lab. Annabelle Rosenberg testifies. Oh yeah, Mike. Definitely wasn't an easy guy. I didn't go to college. I didn't understand much about what he was doing, and he knew it. But I'd listen to him, talk about antibodies or whatever. And I'd ask dumb questions. He used to give me a funny look sometimes, but he answered me. I think he was just glad to have someone to talk to. Those other chemists, he didn't trust them. On October 15th, 2203, Dr. Fletcher was working with Professor Delaware to prepare syringes for the next test subject. In his report, he describes the serum as almost stable. Due to a clumsy move, Dr. Fletcher accidentally inoculated Professor Delaware with the serum. He believed there would be no irreversible consequences. He was dismissed following the incident. How do you accidentally inject someone with a serum? Seriously. After his injections, Professor Delaware immediately developed a fever and tremors. He was kept under observation in a cell in a laboratory instead of going into the infirmary. His condition stabilised after a few hours of rest. Test subject. After learning of the incident, the Blue Science Corps Scientific Committee decided to keep the Professor Delaware captive and use him as an experimental subject. No record of Professor's consent has been found. What bastards. Fucking hell, they just can't help themselves, can they? The subject was inoculated with several viruses, including the Mpox variant of monkeypox, the PK45 strain of Ebola virus, the measles morbillivirus, and the Martian virus MM875. The complete list of viruses used on the subject no longer exists. Several pages of the report are missing. So a lot then. Here are excerpts from the report. Day 58 after the start of the experiment. The subject shows no classic symptoms of the diseases transmitted to him. However, he has undergone certain physical changes such as difficulty walking on 2 legs. The subject's head has doubled in size. The subject does not speak. but it's impossible to know if he does that by choice or inability. The subject is prone to fits of rage when we are about to administer a new strain of virus. To immobilise him, we deliver an electric shock to his head. This is the only way to calm him down. You're not fucking calming him down. You are literally terrorising the poor man. No wonder he's angry. I'd fucking be angry. The fuck are they doing to this man? They can't help themselves, can they? In the video recording from the evening of December 24th, 2205, Mrs. Rosenberg can be seen pausing for a moment to observe the subject. She appears to be speaking to him, and the subject is looking at her attentively. Mrs. Rosenberg then opens the cell door. The subject comes out, his head splits open, and a second head inside devours Mrs. Rosenberg's face. Oh, that's a bad end for her. Jeez. That was the curiosity killed the cat moment, that one. Conclusion. Synthesis on the report of specimen ID 009. There are no survivors among the passengers of the Blue Science Corps military ship. The soldiers found dead were equipped with conventional firearms. We did not encounter the subject during a rescue attempt. The scientific reports and logs were incomplete and damaged upon the arrival of the rescue unit. Someone was hiding something. At present, we were unable to provide a list of viruses and other diseases that were administered to the subject. Given these circumstances, we must conclude that it is not possible to consider the subject as a potentially treatable patient. Oh shit. Following our investigation, we confirmed that the Blue Science Corps violated several international human rights laws as well as the WMA's International Code of Medical Ethics. Here's what we know so far about specimen ID 009. His original name was Michael Delaware, aka Mike, and he was a genius scientist. He underwent multiple injections of various diseases, which combined with the serum Professor Delaware was working on, generated significant physical mutations. He is particularly dangerous. Particularly dangerous. I'd say he's very fucking dangerous. His only known weakness is electricity. By aiming at his head with an electrical gun, for example, reveal a second head its true face. It is impossible to describe him precisely. Those who have seen him are no longer here to tell the tale. Well, we've seen it. We know what it's like. It's a giant beak. Horrible thing. This creature is just so cool. When you think about what this guy's been through, though, it's ridiculous amounts of test. He's a test dummy. That's basically what he is. He's getting pumped full of all these different diseases to check to see if his serum works, but he even knew that there was going to be mutations to it. I mean, look at him. Mutations on this creature are ridiculous. I can imagine that he might even be immortal now, which is a crazy thought. Right, let's move on. Last one. 010, where are you? Here he is. And it's this Scorpion King. Hello, little buddy. Ugh. Don't walk to me like that. Ugh. Creepy looking creature. Awesome, but creepy. ID 010. The Puppet Master. It's a cool name. I like it. Protected planet. The specimen originates from the planet Kepler 441b. This planet has characteristics similar to those of Earth and quickly attracted the interest of astrophysicists. Commander Victor Carter first set foot on the planet on February 6, 2231. Here is an excerpt from his interview published on the Big Bang newspaper. This planet is a paradise. It is pure, unspoiled. The flora and fauna are thriving and diverse. It is absolutely necessary to protect this planet from all outside contact. It must never fall into the hands of industrialists or be exploited in any way. You're damn right. As a result of his advocacy, Commander Carter secured the planet's admission into the intergalactic community for the protection of space environments. My God, that's a sentence and a half. The ICPSE. This non-profit organisation is dedicated to limiting, monitoring, and regulating the effects of human colonization in space. Wow. In the case of planet Kepler 441b, the ICPSE has decided to limit visits to 3 humans per year. Visas to visit the planet are only granted to scientists. Applicants are required to provide a comprehensive resume and must not have been employed by any company listed on a designated blacklist. They must submit a comprehensive statement of intent detailing their objectives and describing why the study of the planet or its attributes is necessary to achieve their objectives. And too fucking right as well. They shouldn't even let anyone on there. Just let it thrive. On March 14th, 2239, zoologists Mr. Rodnell Barnes, Mr. Christian Rosette, and Mrs. Marion Telbu, probably not going to say any of those right, set up this scientific camp on the planet. Their mission was to catalogue all animal species in the JJ04 region. Identification. On November 23rd, 2239, Mr. Barnes's journal describes, "We sighted a most unusual species today. Its identifier is 010. It is a quadrupedal creature with a 5th mobile limb extending from its spine, ending in a stinger like a scorpion. The specimen observed is approximately 1 meter long and 0.7 meters tall. This creature is particularly remarkable for its unusual hunting technique. It emits a thick gas from 2 orifices on its back, then poisons its target with its stinger. The target is disorientated by the cloud of gas and eventually collapses from the stinger's blows and the poison. What is unique, however, is that the victim eventually gets back up. It begins to move again, with jerky motions. As soon as it encounters another member of its own species, it attacks it. Once weakened, the specimen can come and finish it off. We haven't been able to measure the vital signs of the infected individual, so it's difficult for us to identify the type of toxin it uses. The specimen alone is a formidable research object. The zoology team inventoried 8,426 animals within the defined area in just 1 year. They left with the hope of one day being able to return and study some of the species in greater detail. According to the official investigation, Mr. Barnes attended a meeting the week after his return from the expedition. On March 28, 2240, at the offices of the pharmaceutical company Alduxen, I'm going to go with, in New York, he reportedly left with a briefcase containing a large sum of money. Of course he did, because there's always fucking one. Can't leave anything alone. Humans, I hate them. Illegal experiment. The next day, he submitted a new application to the ICPSE to request a more specific study of a certain species. On April 25th, 2240, he set up a camp again on the planet Kepler 441b, alone this time. Why did they say yes to him again? Ridiculous. In his official journal, he can find notes on several species on the planet. However, we found a second unofficial journal. Those observations focused on specimen 010. Here are some excerpts. After analysing the venom, I am able to confirm that it contains neurotoxins capable of reviving a dead brain body. The medical use of these toxins might allow us to treat incurable diseases in the short term. My wildest ideas led me to imagine that we could perhaps bring certain people back to life or even achieve immortality. No. There's a reason why we have to die. It's just let it be. Stop trying to get immortality. Can't stand it when these things happen. Footnote: toxins are destroyed at high temperatures, 80 degrees C minimum. On June 30th, 2240, a combat shuttle illegally landed on the planet. A special response team enabled Mr. Barnes to capture a specimen. Mr. Barnes then took off in the shuttle and joined a scientific ship belonging to the Alduxan Corporation, where extensive research was to take place. To extract the creature's venom, an airtight oversuit covered in pockets was designed. The main suit borne underneath was an old military model designed for civilian population control, procured by the US Army, which was partially funded the research. Okay. According to our investigation, the suit failed after several samples were taken. The creature's repeated attacks eventually punctured it behind the knee. Oh dear. Well, can't say you didn't get what you deserved. Conclusion. According to the rescue team's report, the creature escaped after the person in charge of sampling that day was poisoned. It used a ventilation system to move around and infect new crew members if it encountered. Those who were not infected were attacked by the poisoned individuals. No survivors were recorded. The poisoned passengers, who were brain dead but still active, were isolated and currently being studied by the US Army team. During the rescue mission, the specimen was sighted. The use of conventional firearms appeared effective. The report specified that the flammable gas canister The report specified that a flammable gas canister was also used as an explosive. The creature was temporarily paralysed, then fled, after which the specimen could not be captured again or eliminated. Synthesis. I hope I'm saying that bit right. To counter the specimen's poisoning, an antidote was developed by the Army and added by default to all its first aid kits. If you ever become infected, a dose of healing serum will cure you from the poisoning. It is strongly recommended that you always carry a health injector with you or a member of your team. If the infection is too advanced, using the resurrection capsules will allow you to continue your mission. Be careful, however. You may find yourself face to face with your previous body or one of your teammates. In action, it is difficult to differentiate a real agent from an infected body. We recommend keeping your distance until you have identified your allies and enemies. Scary, scary, scary thing. I wonder what they could do next. I mean, this thing's terrifying on its own. The fact that it brings the dead back to life is ridiculous. They found it on a... Well, I mean, not the only one they found on a planet and they decided to do something with, because humans have to be humans, right? They just can't leave stuff alone. The fact that that planet was protected and they still let people down there knowing that this sort of stuff would happen. It just never ceases to amaze me that they still do it. Oh man. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think of what is your favourite creature. Now, if you haven't read them before, let me know what you thought of the explanations that they gave for each one, and maybe if they could give us more lore in the future after we've studied them for a bit longer. I mean, at the moment that seems to be all we have, so I'll be very much looking forward to the next creature they add, because I believe the next creature is like a tease. I think they've got like 2 that they could add. I think the one of them is classified as a large creature. That's on the command deck terminal. So considering the mutated creature, or Mike, is actually a medium creature, could be absolutely terrifying to see a large one roaming around the halls. But yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you guys ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy, guys.